Today, we're going to do a functional system update in my Hobonichi Cousin, and it's been a while. Mostly things have stayed the same, but some things have changed. I have the clear cover from Midori. This is just the standard one, and it was a little tight. I didn't use it for a long time because when I tried it on, it bent my cover. You probably can't see on camera, but there's a big wrinkle from the dent. But I do use this, every day. Sometimes I take it out to go out and about, and it gets really dirty. You can see on the back, and I hate it. So I finally tried to stretch this out, and it kind of worked, I think. If anyone has done this in the long term, can you please let me know if it actually shrinks back, because sometimes I feel like it's getting tighter. Anyway, do let me know if you know the answer to that. But yeah, for now I do have it here, and honestly the tipping point for me to finally pick this cover back up is the pen loop, because I had been clipping my pen just like on the cousin itself, and sometimes I would pick it up and then the pen would go flying across the room, and it really bugged me. So I decided to try the clear cover again and stretch it properly so that I can have this pen loop, which is so convenient. And honestly, it's kind of invisible. Like, you can't even tell that there's a loop there. I don't know, I just love it. And it does fit my pen perfectly, so that's great. And I am still using the Uniball one. Is that what it's called? I have no idea. But it's a gel pen, and it's the 0.5. Alright, so I have these index tabs. I don't remember if I had already started using them last time I shared my system with you, but these are just like old ones that I've had to get rid of because they were wearing out, but I didn't want to just throw them out, so I put them on the front here. And sometimes when I'm flipping between pages, I do just grab one of these older ones and then place it on whatever page I'm trying to go back and forth on, and that's like a temporary bookmark, and then I put it back on here in the front. Weirdly useful. But I also have the actual, the new index tabs over here, and now that I have the clear cover on, I can actually just tuck that in, and that's great. I have a giant paper clip here that I used to actually clip the index tabs, because it comes in this little, you know what they are, these little strips, and I just clip that onto the book. But now that I have the cover, not really a problem anymore. Still have it there though. And yeah, still using the yearly calendar page the same way. I have a little index tab on the month that I'm currently on, and some personal dates circled in color. I also have this post-it here for future events. It's for 2025, and it's not one of the months that's actually in the cousin, since we do get, I think, like up to April here. Oh, this is the spring cousin, so that's why I have up to April here, I think. But these are events in July, August, so I just have that here ready to migrate when I start my next cousin for 2025, which I did get. So I'm definitely staying in the same system, mostly, but I'll do a video on that maybe soon. The yearly index, is that what it's called? Still using it as an index. Everything's going well. You can kind of see how the daily pages have filled up by looking at this. My reading journal has kind of overflowed into the 2025 months, and if you're not familiar with my system, I use the daily pages as notes pages, and I use the separate months as different categories or sections. So here I have my logs, basically things I would need to reference a lot, like budgets, expense logs. This is my project. Basically, this is project A, project B, and I have my reading journal here. In the 6th section of this book, but it's actually September. And the reading journal I had saved 2 months for that, so that's September and October, but I overflowed into like 3 more months in the 2025 months. I'm sorry I'm not explaining this very well, but you can definitely check out my functional system in the Hobonichi Cousin video, and I probably did a better job there. But yeah, this December section is my miscellaneous month, and I have definitely run out of pages there. I basically kind of filled up most of the months. If you see these, blank parts of the month, it's because I don't, if I have like project A research on the 23rd, or as I call it, on page 1223, so it's 12 and that's number 23. I don't, and that like spans until page 1229. I don't, write project A research on all of these boxes. I just put it up here, and then I can see that because the next section is on the 30th, this whole, part, all of these pages are my research notes. You get it. I don't have to fill out every single line if it's just the same thing. So basically, yeah, that's how the index is going. I still didn't really use this bottom section in any functional way. I tried doing goals, I guess, or tasks. I don't know. I'm awful at goals. I really want to do that, but it's December. I'm not going to try to do that now. I'll maybe attempt it next year. But yeah, this is going well. I probably will fill this up for the rest of December with whatever books I'm reading. Finally, my monthly section. So things have changed somewhat. This is how I was using it. Here, I'll show you this month. So this is October. So for one, I did not keep up with my habit tracking, and mostly that's because things have changed a lot with my habits and just my life and schedule. I recently moved, and that was a lot. I didn't really have time to keep up with any habits, and honestly, the things I was keeping up with have, some of them were medical stuff, and that stuff has changed as well. So I have my grocery list on the sidebar here because that's something that I look at for the rest of the month until, I go on my shopping trip. And it's not, a page that I leave behind, like on my weekly. Then I would have to migrate that every week, so I just keep it here. And on the calendar itself, I still put events, and then if I have trips or multi-day events, or family visiting or friends visiting, I use these lines to show me that it's an ongoing thing. So for example, I have something, I think this is this, yeah. I had an event that spanned these 4 days, and then I had another thing these 4 days, and they kind of overlapped, but I didn't want to just, I wanted to actually see that those things were overlapping, so I did this. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. Maybe I'm not being very clear, but yeah, totally fell off habit tracking. Now, what has changed since then is that I really wanted to put my budgeting on the monthly spread, because I keep my budgeting and expenses on their own spreads in the back. And while that helps me, track my spending, in retrospect, it didn't really help me keep in mind what my budget was for the month, because it wasn't, a page that I saw every day, all the time, because I only kind of go back to those pages when I need to log my expenses, usually at the end of every week or again at the end of the month. So I really wanted to move that into the monthly spread so that I can keep that in mind all the time. And I tried it, I will probably blur this out because I don't really want to show you my budgeting and expenses, but I tried it kind of at the end of November here, and what I quickly realized, and what you can see here in December, is that there isn't really enough space for that, because I do my budgeting monthly, yes, but also weekly. So I kind of wanted space for each week, and ideally it would fit into these, neat sections. It didn't, not the way I was doing it at least, because I do basically a category and then a budget, and then underneath that I put my spending, and that leads to next week's budget according to what I had spent. If anyone is interested in like my budgeting spread or how I do it, I can do that as well, but it's not really complicated or anything. But yeah, so I tried that. It doesn't really fit, so I decided against it. What I have decided to do is to track my non-essentials expenses on the sidebar here, because while I do track that in my weekly, I kind of forget what I had already spent from my like pocket money fund or whatever the week before, because it's like gone. It's in the it's in last week. I'm like, oh, I can spend more money this week because I started fresh, but not really the case. So while everything else that I've budgeted are bills, whatever, they're monthly anyway, I don't need to keep in mind that I've already paid that bill, at least not on a week-to-week basis. So I don't need to look at it all the time, but my monthly spending for shopping or whatever, I really want to keep in mind throughout the month. So I'm keeping that here. Because I tried to do the expenses for the first half of the month, I didn't actually have enough space, so it did overflow over here, but that's the plan. And I mean, not just a plan, it's what I started doing. And on the calendar itself, the only thing that has changed is that I track books that I started and finished, only because I keep forgetting when I started and finished. And it's really a hassle to go into my weeklies and like flip through all the pages and find, oh, where does it say I started this book and finished it? Whereas here, it's a monthly overview. It's really easy to find it when I need to log it on my story graph or just my reading journal in the back. That's super easy. So that's the only thing that has changed. Last time I showed you my monthlies, I had these stickers to show me when I did cleaning tasks and paid bills, and they were color coded. I knew what red meant and what green meant and whatever, but because of the move, I was really busy. I couldn't be bothered to find the stickers and whatever. So I just kind of noted it down in pen, and that has been working so well. It's just not a fuss at all. I know what these things mean because usually they're the same symbols or the same letters that I use to categorize my budgeting, and just other ways I'm cataloging them in other places in my book. So it's just like a very streamlined system. I don't need to remember that, for example, grocery shopping is G and also the yellow sticker and also whatever. It's just G everywhere. So that's how I have changed tracking these bills and monthly cleaning tasks and whatever in the spread. So it's all pen and paper now, mostly. I am still attempting to use the Tombow brush pens in a functional way. I'm still not great with them, but yeah, this is how my monthly is looking. It's very it's very chaotic because it's messy from my experimentation with the sidebar, but it's been working really, really well, so that's great. This is for January, and I just I do my budgeting monthly, but also based on when I get my paycheck, basically. So once I do at the end of the month, I count expenses after that as next month's expenses. So I actually already have expenses for January, and I have that here. So this was a non-essential expense, I guess. So I noted that down here, but that's the idea. That's what it'll probably look like for the coming months. So let's actually go to the weekly section, and it's a little different. It's maybe a lot different actually, but let's actually I decided to change things up. So for most of the time I had been doing this, which is very different from my categories that I had assigned to each column, which is a big part of my system last time I shared it. But again, I was moving, things got things got hectic, and I just needed to note down my tasks for each day. Basically, I actually had to assign them to each day, or else I wouldn't get them done. So I made do without the categories, and honestly, it was bad. I made a mistake abandoning that system because I couldn't find anything. Every time I was like, oh, I have time to do this tiny thing, what can I do? I had to look through the entire spread because they weren't like separated by categories or anything. And you know, even though I assign something to like Monday, sometimes I don't do it, and then by Thursday I'm like, oh, I need to probably do that thing. What was it again? I had to search the whole spread instead of like knowing, oh, this falls into project A, or it falls into chores or whatever, and then finding that column. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, did not work for me. I hated it. I tried this thing where I put a certain project that I was trying to finish on this sidebar, but I still wasn't doing them. It didn't really work for me. And again, I have multiple projects going on usually, so it was just kind of pointless. Like one project is here, but there's also another project kind of scattered throughout the week. Anyway, I'll stop blabbering about that. I was still doing the events or appointments that I have on this timeline here. I put a circle and then the actual event itself, or the actual appointment, and that has been working so well. And I don't know if I shared this last time, but I also started marking my working hours on the timeline here, and that does change from time to time, so that's why it's more useful for me. I think if you have like a 9 to 5, you know, all the time, that probably isn't super useful. But my working times change, or my working hours change. So noting down what they are for the week or the month or whatever is really helpful for me. Yeah, I still mark my expenses here, and I mark it with the gray Tombow, just so I can pick it out easily. And that was a huge problem when I had abandoned the system, basically, and was just noting it down, you know, on the day itself. But I got sick of this, and I got sick of it like in the middle of the week, clearly, and decided to kind of mock up a new one. And this was my attempt at it. So I was trying to divide up the spread where I can have those categories on top, and also daily specific tasks or events on the bottom. And I tried different kind of sizes for these daily events, because sometimes I have a lot of stuff that I have to schedule for a certain day. Sometimes I don't, so I don't really want to waste space. And originally I had put the line up here, but I was just running out of space for these categories very quickly, and I let myself kind of overrun over here, and I decided that wasn't working. So this was basically the layout that I ended up with. So up here is basically the system that I had before, which is different categories, projects, miscellaneous things, chores, correspondences. And down here are actually date specific things. So some of these are tasks that I know I have to do on a certain day. And these are my expenses that obviously happened on that day. So that's very helpful to know. And I also have big events or all day events, like someone's birthday, or if I took a day off. And I just underline that to denote that it's, an all day thing, or, whatever. But actually, timed events or appointments, I still put it on this timeline. And again, I still put my working hours on the timeline. So that does mean that sometimes it kind of clashes with this, but that's fine. I guess I just look at the timeline and this separate section as two different things. So let me actually bring you to this week, and you can see here I had an event or an appointment pretty late in the night, and I still put it down there. Doesn't really matter that it's past this little line. So yeah, what I also started doing is putting my actual budgeting on this sidebar instead of the monthly sidebar, because this is what I look at every day. And so every week I have in mind, this is my budget for this category, this expense, whatever. And I'll, spend accordingly, basically. So I always look at this budget every single day and keep in mind that I'm already over budget on something, which I am this month because it's December, it's the holiday season. I'm not even mad at myself. But yeah, I also started putting down package trackers, or just like if I buy something and it's coming on a certain day, I go to that day and put a little checkbox basically and put down what the package is, and then in brackets the estimated delivery time. And then if it doesn't come in time, I usually just migrate it. Although, like, for example, this thing, I had expected it to come on Monday, but it didn't. I didn't migrate it throughout the days, obviously, because this whole week kind of serves as just like the weekly, it's a weekly spread. So I won't migrate it until I get to next week, and I have I'll probably put it on the Monday again because I'm expecting it, as soon as possible. But whatever, I'll just migrate it in the next week. Hopefully that makes sense. This is working so well for me. I cannot express how a relief it is to use this new layout, because things were so messy when I abandoned the system. So yeah, I really thought that I could just use this spread as it was meant to be used, just as a daily schedule to-do list kind of thing, but I guess I really can't. I guess I figured out the system that really worked for me, which is these categories. And it's great. I'm loving it. Right, I use these index tabs to mark my weekly down here and my monthly up here, and it's really useful. Yeah, I really like it. I will also talk about how I'm using them back here, I guess. So again, if you don't know, I use these as notes pages, and what I had tried to do was just index or use these tabs up here so that I can, always flip through them up here, but they just kind of clashed with each other. I couldn't really find the tabs that I was looking for, probably because I have too many of them or something, I don't know. But because I know what section is for what category or what project, the only thing I really needed was to find my place within that section, within that project. So for example, here for my project, the page that I need to come back to is here. So it's not like I need a tab for this section. I need a tab for my place within the section. And I've just kind of memorized. I've been using this for the whole year, so I know what these sections are. So when I'm oh, I need to go to project A, where am I in that project? I know that this is project A. I go to that tab and I find my place. If I need to find my notes on something else that I know is in the section, but I'm not sure where it is, I flip it open here, etc. I know that this is my reading journal section. I just need to find my place. I flipped it over here. And yeah, that's been working great. My daily sections, my note sections hasn't changed at all. Because I've been running out of pages, like my log section is, sorry, I don't want to open it because I'm not sure what I can and cannot show. This is my budgeting section, so I don't really want to show that. Right, okay, let's open to this. This was my planning for next month's or next year's planners. That's what that is. This is also more planning for next year's section planner, but I've been running out of pages basically in the logs. I've been running out of pages in the miscellaneous. I obviously ran out of pages in the reading journal that I had set aside. So I've been letting myself overflow into other sections. And for example, one of the project sections, which was August, I didn't really use. I ended up not really working on that type of project this year. And in retrospect, I think I wouldn't have needed a whole month's worth of pages for that project anyway. So I'm definitely eliminating that next year, or at least I think I'm combining it with a different project type. But I'll talk about that when I talk about maybe next year's system. But yeah, I've been letting myself overflow, and I was really worried that I would have a hard time finding things, but honestly, the index section is such a godsend. It's so helpful. I don't have a hard time finding things over here at all. I think it's because I know that, like, oh yeah, I haven't been using August a lot, and that's kind of where I've let myself overflow into. So whenever I'm like trying to find, for example, my December and January budgeting couldn't fit in the logs because I filled it up already. I knew that the August was where I ended up writing all of the things, so I just look here. Oh yeah, that's where I put my January budget, etc. But yeah, things have been working well. The only thing that hasn't is, honestly, I think I am stagnating on a lot of projects. Not necessarily because of the system, but, just because of life, I'm sure. But I had a really hard time, and probably still am having a hard time, getting progress on a lot of my work. And I have come up with things to deal with that. But I'll probably talk about that again in my 2025 system. But for now, I'm just getting progress when I can, and I just jump in here and pick up where I leave off. Honestly, it's working well. Every time I jump in here, I know exactly where I left off, and I can just continue. It's good. I think I'm the problem, I need more focus lately. But yeah, that's basically it, I think. Oh, aside from the back pages, let's see what we have here. I, again, don't remember what I have and haven't told you, but I've been using this for the authors that I'm reading, because I read a lot of books from the same authors and I really want to branch out. So originally I thought about, or I think I did actually fill out my my 100 page with the authors that I was reading, but I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna read 100 authors within the year. So I used that for something else, and I decided to use this as my tracker for all the different authors. Hopefully, the motivation of filling this out will make me read new authors. However, what I didn't realize is that this basically amounts to 100 anyway. I think there's like almost 100 boxes here. I can't remember. It's like 49 plus 49, yeah. So kind of a moot point, but it's fine, whatever. I ended up using my 100 as a wish list, so it's fine that I copied all of those others and moved them here. This is definitely better suited for a wish list anyway, because they have these checkboxes, so it's all good. But yeah, I have been using this as a wish list, and the idea is that within a year I can only put 100 things here, and I have to put down things I, purchased as well, even though they're not from my wish list. I will kind of basically have a limit, right, to the things that I can put on my wish list and can purchase. But looking at this list, it just makes me reflect on how little impulse control that I have, because I basically got so many things off my wish list. There are only a few that I've, resisted from buying. But again, I started this pretty late into the year, so maybe this will work better when I actually start in the beginning of the year, and that limit will actually work. Because here, I think I started this like maybe in September or August, so that 100 things starting from then is a lot of things. So I had so much breathing room, but within 1 year, 1 whole year, I think this is gonna work great. And I mean, it's already working great, honestly. Like I at least have a record of all of the things that I failed to resist. If nothing else, it's a great tool for reflection. And while this is a very functional book for me, not really memory keeping or whatever, so quote unquote reflection isn't quite functional, but I don't know, it works for me. And I'll definitely update you on how this actually works within a whole year next year, but that's a long time coming. Fingers crossed it actually works next year. I had been using this as a tracker graph thing for the number of pages read, and if you saw my previous videos, you probably know that I used to keep track of my pages read in the weekly section, but I don't anymore because it's just a hassle. I mean, even then it was a hassle. I've just kind of given up, basically. And I think I want to erase this. I already had a feeling that I would get tired of this, so I think I used an erasable pen for this. I just don't know if I kept up using an erasable pen for this, so I'm a little worried that some of these lines are actually permanent, but I will, I think, attempt to erase this and actually do a tracker for the number of books that I read, which is much easier to track, and I actually have a record of that in my reading journal, so I can definitely fill that out at the end of the year. Which, speaking of favorite section, I'm still saving for my top 12 books of the year, I think. And the year is not quite over yet, so that's still empty. I'm really excited to fill this out. There are so many things that I have quote unquote saved for the end of the year, and I'm sure a lot of us have days off. I mean, it's the holiday season, so I'm excited to spend those days kind of playing my book, filling out these end of year spreads and trackers. I particularly have quite a bit in my reading journal. I want to do an overview of the whole year and whatnot, so I'm excited to do that. And I have not done it quite yet, but I'll probably show you once I have. And this year, I don't know what this is. I don't know what it says. I think I've heard people say this is like an interview page and an interview with yourself, and I don't even if I could read it, I don't think I would have done that anyway. But what I will do is, I think, list my kind of achievements of the year or accomplishments. Like I said, a lot of things have changed within the year and recent months, and I think I want to fill that out here, kind of a reflection page. I think this is the only page that isn't like purely functional, but I was thinking about what I was gonna use this for, and when I thought about an accomplishment page, I kind of thought about what has changed in the last year, and it's so many more than I expected, and made me think about a lot of things. So I think that is actually going to be really nice to do, and I'm not super artsy in the visual sense. As you can see, it's all pen and paper here. So I won't be decorating things. I would love to, but I don't have like stickers or anything. I used to paint in my previous book. I used to use this A6 book. I don't think I've shared my previous systems. Definitely let me know if you want to hear about that. But I used to use I think watercolor. Yeah, I used to use watercolor, but I don't do that anymore. So I'll probably just again use pen and paper here, and it'll be nice. I think I will really like it. Looking forward to doing that at the end of the year as well. Still nothing back here. I do have ideas about how I want to use these pages, but these ideas came to me super late in the game. I'm basically just going to do them for 2025, and for this book, I'm going to do them at the end of the year. Again, as a reflection kind of thing. Or not just a reflection, but a record, I guess. But I can share them, a vague idea of them now. But here I really want to check my savings, basically. I don't care about tracking gifts. I love giving gifts to people, but this seems too few for a whole year of gifts. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving too many or whatever, but yeah, I also don't need to track gifts. I don't know. I guess people send like thank you cards, but not really something I do. But yeah, I really want to track my savings from month to month and see how that has, grown or depleted throughout the year. So that's what I'm going to be using this for. I'm really not sure how much of that I'm going to share. Maybe I'll share like how I'm doing it, the system, but obviously not the contents itself. And here I'm gonna put my basically different addresses. Like sometimes I send packages to different locations, and while I do have it, kind of input it in my accounts, sometimes I have to put them in manually again. And there are like 4 or so addresses that I usually have to have on hand. And I'm just going to put them here so that they're always accessible to me and I don't have to look them up like on my phone. I mean, it's probably obvious since, we're all planner people, but I hate looking things up on my phone, like on my notes app or whatever. I just want it on paper. So I'll definitely do those addresses here. Won't show that either, obviously. And I don't know actually if I will do it in this book since we're so close to moving to 2025 anyway, but that's what this will be for and what I wish I had used it for this whole year. And here I will also use it for my personal information, which I won't be showing obviously, but one of the main things is that I have like a million emails or like a million email addresses, and I always forget which is for what, like which is for work, which is for this other work, whatever, which is for personal. I mean, I remember my personal email obviously, but there are a few of them, so I probably will be just listing those here just so I remember, because they're all like variations of my name or whatever. So I wonder if anyone else relates to that. I hope so. I think so. But yeah, that's my book. I have been having a grand old time in the Hobonichi Cousin this year, and I will be picking it up again for next year. And I probably will do an unboxing video, but it will be the smallest Hobonichi unboxing ever, since it's not a big order, obviously. I don't know if anyone will be interested in that, but I'll probably just do it for fun anyway. Also the latest Hobonichi unboxing, because it's almost 2025 now. Anyway, that's all for my updated system. I will definitely do a more complete functional system video when I talk about my Hobonichi 2025 book, because this was more, just the updates. I wasn't really explaining the whole system. I do have a video of that. Obviously, things have changed, hence the update. But yeah, I'll definitely do a complete one in 2025, or with my 2025 book once I unbox it. And maybe that will be more clear as well. Anyway, I will stop rambling and thank you for watching. I hope this was somewhat interesting, somewhat useful. Definitely let me know if you guys have stuck with your books throughout the year, if things have changed, your systems have changed, if you're in the cousin like me. I'm really interested. I've been spending months, it feels like, watching other people's 2025 system videos and unboxings and whatnot, and I've definitely missed coming on here to show you my books, so I'll definitely be back soon. Thank you so much for watching.